Was I happening sooner?
Welcome back to KindaFunny's MCU in review. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I am joined by the Big Daddy himself, Greg Miller.
Hello, Tim.
The producer / seducer, Nick
Top of the
Scarpino.
evening to you, Tim.
And joining us live from his bedroom, it's the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
I loved getting this MCU in review rendition from Nick and Greg. That was beautiful.
You want to hear it again?
No. I'm okay.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Barrett, are the people at home, did they hear that?
No,
or
of course
no,
not.
that's what I was just
They didn't hear them going, Tim.
Yeah. It's easy, guys.
And
you, just
Andy.
you use the word Tim.
If you
for all
want to
the
play
words.
at home, replay the intro and say Tim whenever they
whatever this is sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
fun.
sorry. You know what I mean?
Oh, great. He's already apologized.
It's one of those fucking things, ladies and gentlemen. Give
Here we
me
go.
the Nick one, all right?
Yeah,
give him the money
them
shot.
the one.
It's one of those things, ladies and gentlemen, that me and Nick don't ask to be the funniest, most likable
didn't ask
motherfuckers
for
in
it.
the company. But we accept that yoke, and we drag Tim and Andy's lifeless corpses through the street, making content for you. Isn't that right, Anthony Corbett? One of the only people in the fucking chat right now. Isn't that right, Anthony? You want us to leave? Tim just
leave?
reads box office numbers and goes,
The best,
nobody wants
best
that.
Tim impression I've ever seen.
With your yak mouth. I don't want to hear it.
Well, I hope that you guys out there want to hear it because, of course, this is KindaFunny's In Review, where we rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. And we're going back to where it all began with the MCU. We are doing a rewatch of the Ant-Man series leading into Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, coming out in just a few short weeks, kicking off Phase 5 of the MCU. Next week, we will be doing Ant-Man and the Wasp, so stay tuned for that. That'll be the first time we watch that we'll discuss that one since theaters.
Sure.
Which is really exciting for...
Look forward to that one. That's one with Larry Fishburne in it, right?
It is.
Excited.
It is.
Excited.
Harry White.
Good old Larry. But of course, you can watch this on youtube.com/KindaFunny or search your favorite podcast service for KindaFunny in review, and we'll be right there for you.
He's so lonely in this shot.
Right.
Why is he so lonely?
So many movie franchises, whether they're good or bad, chances are we have talked about it at least once, if not twice, during one of these rewatches. Of course, you can also go to patreon.com/KindaFunny to get the show ad-free and watch live as we record it, just like our Patreon producers, Jay Kolbs, Nathan Lamoth, Monica Blumenlog, DJ Kento on Twitch, Trent Berry, James Hastings, Colin Huguenel, and Casey Andrew.
You got all that money from him, bro.
Andy, how are you doing today?
I've been better, Tim. I've been better.
Yeah.
I get it.
How you feeling, Andy?
I get it, Andy.
I'm okay. I just look, honestly, if I put Theraflu in my body all day and night, I could take on the world.
Wow.
I'll take on the world.
Wow. Take on the world together, gentlemen. We're brought to you by Grammarly, but we'll tell you about that later. We got to talk about Ant-Man, released on July 17th, 2015.
Wow.
Think about that.
God.
That was a long old time ago. And,
We were spare bedrooming, like the original spare bedroom, running
Yeah.
the company on the spare bedroom.
Mhm.
Did we even go see this as a company? Did we all go together?
Yeah,
Okay,
we did.
Okay.
It's closer to 10 years than it isn't.
Yeah. That's pretty wild to think about. This was Gia's first MCU movie she ever watched, and she hated it because she had no context. So she just watched it. She was like, what the why do you guys like this? It makes no sense. I'm like, and now
Like, he control ants.
This is when you guys first started dating.
yeah, it was so early.
That's when she thought she was better than us. We brought it down to our
she's
level.
Like I'm a lawyer or whatever she does.
I'm a fucking
Oh, yeah. Isn't that right, Tim? You know what I mean? The
Leave him by himself.
Scintillating conversations they have around there.
Yeah.
Put her on the fucking show. You think you can do it without us? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You want to
money.
sell apples out of an apple cart with no apples? We're the apples.
We're the apples, everybody.
Delicious.
But yeah, so it was released July 17, 2015. It was the end of Phase 2, which was always kind of a weird call. But this was the end of that. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but it didn't even have the original, or not the original, the new Marvel Studios intro.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh, I did
because
not
that
notice that.
didn't come until Doctor Strange, which was 2 movies after this, because the next was Civil War. But it's kind of cool that Ant-Man 1 was the end of Phase 2, and now Ant-Man 3 is about to be the beginning of Phase 5, which is just wild. And now Andy's gone.
He'll be back.
Leaving
No, he
me
just
alone.
does that thing sometimes when he has to puke. He's
Puke.
puking around. He's sick.
Yeah.
He's remember he said if I put the Theraflu in me, I'd be unstoppable. But it was clearly a sealed bottle of Theraflu.
Oh, I
He
thought
hasn't
he was
put it in
just.
there
I
yet.
just thought he was staying home to just down Therapeutic all day. Jesus
I'm gonna
Christ.
get fucked up and make thumbnails.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all out
away
of
from the
booze. Give me the
microphone.
Theraflu, Barrett.
Yeah.
Oh, you're at work while I'm flying.
I step away for 10 seconds, and it's just an assault.
No, this wasn't making fun of you. This was, we had to
wanna
ad-lib all
party
the
with
cameras off. Tim panicked, of course. He's like, what are we gonna do? You know what I mean?
This one had a runtime of an hour 57 minutes. It was directed by Peyton Reed. Now, Nick, I know we've talked about Peyton Reed before a couple times, but do you remember the motion picture that he first directed?
Training Day.
Bring It On.
Yeah, okay.
Bring It On is what I was looking for.
Did he also direct Training Day?
He directed Down with Love, The Breakup, and Yes Man.
Oh, I was totally wrong about that.
Hit
Who did
comedy
Training Day?
movies. Let me look.
I'll
up
figure it
Was
out.
Yes Man the one
I think
with
Training Day was
Jim
the guy
Carrey?
that did Suicide Squad, right? The original Suicide Squad?
Let's see.
That sounds about right.
David Ayer?
Yeah, I think that was him.
Training Day.
That doesn't sound right. Yes Man was the Jim Carrey one where he couldn't say.
Yeah, great movie.
Antoine
Just watched it the other day.
Fuqua.
Oh, well, I'm totally wrong.
Oh, yep. I'm picturing Liar Liar, but Yes Man was a different one. I remember that.
That's the one with Zoe Deschanel.
I just
When you
loved
watch
it.
it now, you're like, wow, he looks like her father.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a different time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That
Was a
nobody
different
cared
time.
about the age difference. We were like, "You're funny, Fireman Bill." It's interesting that Jim Carrey had that section of his career where he was like, "Just give me an elephant, give me an elephant, give me,
Give me an elephant. Put the elephant in the
give me
room.
an elevator pitch, give me a one sentence,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go make that movie."
You can't
You
say
can't
no.
lie.
Yeah.
I'm in. You can't say no. Fucking also in. Let's go.
Hang out with some penguins.
Great films. Great
You're
films.
God. All right.
He also directed the Mandalorian season 2 finale and all the Ant-Man movies.
Jim Carrey.
No, Peyton Reed.
Oh, David
Peyton
Ayer.
Reed. And he fucking crushed that shit.
Is he the one that did
Training Day.
Training Day?
I think that was David Ayer. What did David Ayer do? Oh, got him. Maybe he did Crash.
God, I feel so bad for Tim right now.
Music was done by Christoph Beck, who did the music for Frozen 1 and 2. He also, on the MCU side of things, did WandaVision and Hawkeye and both the Ant-Man movies. And he won an Emmy for doing the score to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And didn't win any awards for this, but he did the soundtrack
Swanson.
to The Hangover.
He had to win a Grammy though once or twice, right? With the short shirt and a long jacket.
Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding.
Nothing like a good Beck joke to get you going, Nick.
I
man.
warned you. I said
He
I'm
did
having a
warn
Coke.
me.
I'm having a Coke.
He's having a
We got to
Coke,
get this man a
everybody.
Coke more often.
Recap juice.
This one had a budget of 169 million and a box office of 519 million, making it one of the lower performing MCU movies. But again, Phase 2, end of that, very
movie.
very different time. This was hot off the heels of Avengers: Age of Ultron. If you remember,
Sokovia.
Greg Miller. Sokovia.
Gets a couple mentions in here, including that newspaper page. Pretty cool.
Andy Cortez, I'm going to start with you. What did you think of this rewatch of Ant-Man?
This is my second time rewatching it in the last like 6 months or so. This movie's funny, man. It's a good time. I think we probably ranked it too low when it first came out. Looking at other movies, I'd probably push it a couple of spots higher. I'm about to make a big admission right here.
Yeah,
Please.
I didn't rewatch it.
Please, right your wrongs, Andy.
I don't hate Cross as much as
Yes!
I used to.
Woo! We did it, everybody.
Chris Cross.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
I still he's probably still my least favorite part of the movie, but I don't think that he's as bad as I initially thought the first couple of times. All right, we're righting wrongs here. We're becoming better people in 2023. Yeah, it's still a good time. I'm laughing at all the same jokes that I would have laughed at back in the day. I don't feel like the humor has aged poorly in any way.
Sure.
I'm still the little cast and crew that Paul Rudd has is just an absolute blast to hang out with. Yeah, I think it's a fun movie. One thing that I didn't love this time around is just how kind of scripted Michael Douglas's sort of teaching voice is to Paul Rudd whenever he's like, "Now you're in the suit, Scott. You're like." It sounds like kind of bad video game VO in some ways.
Wow.
And that's what I got. That's what I got out of it on this viewing. It just sounds like Michael Douglas got hired for 2 hours to do video game tutorial VO for the Ant-Man video game. That's what it kind of reminds me of. It's the only thing that bothered me really about this viewing. I still had a fun time. I still love that we get the we don't have the stepdad be the shitty asshole bad guy throughout the whole thing.
Sure.
I've always loved that he does eventually turn into somebody that, hey, I love you. I love your daughter. I'm here to try to be the good stepdad. I think it's still like, I enjoy that part of it. It's pretty wholesome. Good movie. I enjoy it.
Nicholas.
Oh yeah, I'm right with Andy. I love watching this again. I love Paul Rudd. I like all the jokes in this. They still hit for me. Totally forgot how we just sort of ditched out on the fact that he can control ants. That was the thing that he did a lot in this movie, and I don't recall him ever doing that again.
In the second one, I think he does.
Does he do a little the
Yeah.
second one? Okay, so it's mostly just his standalone movies where we get the ants because it's creepy and weird. Just to see like the fire ants, all that shit that always creeps me a little out.
When they were having the battle in the airport, he was calling them. They were just taking a long time to walk there. You know what I
This
mean?
is
Because it was all
long
concrete.
runway,
So the
yeah,
ants
it's
were
a
way
lot
the fuck
of
over
concrete.
there. By the
Yeah.
time they get there, they're just like, here's Spider-Man.
We're 6 hours out, Paul.
On our way.
None of the ants fly in Germany. We're walking as fast as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I just exact same thoughts as before. It's just a fun movie. It's a perfect example of what a standalone Marvel movie can be with characters that are not like the essential, four Avengers that we love and know and love. And Paul Rudd is fun, and the cast is great, and we just won't talk about the wigs. We're
won't.
over it. We're
We've
over
done-
it, guys. We've made our peace with Bigwig
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
for now.
A ceasefire.
So
Okay.
much character growth in this episode of In Review.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rolling, Greg Miller. What'd you think?
I stand by whatever I said before. I'm not changing for nobody. Fuck y'all. I enjoy Ant-Man's a fun movie. It's an entertaining movie, but I just feel like Ant-Man and Assman. You're the Assman. Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp are the only flicks Jen and I skipped when we were doing the chronological order, rewatching the MCU. Where we got to, like, do you want to watch this? I don't care either way. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's get back to it. I think at that point we were ready for the Avengers to really, assemble and do some shit. It's not that I don't like the movie. The movie's fucking hilarious. I think, Andy mentioned them in terms of, he said it in a funny way, but the guys, the crew that Paul Rudd, Gary Guberson from Ghostbusters Afterlife runs with, of course, they're so hilarious. I love the recaps. I love the van. I love the way they all work together. Like, that's still... I don't even say the highlight of the movie. I think it's just the cast is so great. Michael Douglas, I love in this. I don't think he sounds like video game VO. I would never be that insulting, Andy. I like him so much. I forgot about the cold open. Being got everybody's wrinkles out, and Haley was there, and Stark was there. I was like, all right, this is dope as shit. And then going through, like, it's a very enjoyable movie. Love, Ant-Man versus the Falcon up there, and that's so much fun. And especially now to go back and see that after so long, I was like, yeah, this is great. It's a fun movie, but it's one of those that just doesn't ever last with me, I guess. It's kind of like juicy fruit. I chew it up, I spit it out. I'm like, that was fun, but I don't think, man, I need to go buy more juicy fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that for sure.
I love
I think of this more as like a dentine ice. Like, it lasts a little bit longer than the juice.
Well, like in the big ones, where you undo the thing, you're like, where do you put this thing?
The car cup holder.
But then it's like there, and then it's gonna get broken into in San Francisco, but you just keep eating the thing, and no matter what, Like,
You
I'll
remember the
risk
old
the
theme
I'll risk
song?
the $500 window
dentine ice.
for this
Nothing's
dentine
colder
ice.
than ice.
Do you want to hear
the old theme song was like, dentine ice. It was like real, like, kind of sexy and sensual.
Oh, it always was. It should be.
Andy, did you hear the new theme? It sounds like this. Tim.
I got you!
I love this
Firing
movie.
on all cylinders, right?
I always have, and I continue to, and I think that where it's ranked on our list, which is pretty low, like I think it's in like
What is it at?
in the mid-20s or something like that, or maybe like
Bullshit.
23 or something like that. But like,
There.
yeah, we have this here. I think this ranking is missing
28.
the Guardians Holiday Special, right?
Yes.
But besides that, it's up to date.
Where did that go? Do we remember?
No.
That catch off guard? Sorry, my bad.
But yeah, so we have Ant-Man at 28, and then Ant-Man 2. Right above it at 27. And yeah, like looking at those, I kind of feel like that's the right placement for this. It's just that's how good most of these movies are, and like even some of the shows. It's fun as hell. It's super funny. I like Yellow Jacket as a bad guy. I don't like. He's not great. Like, he's not high on the Ragu Bagu list, but I like him just being the shitty business guy, and like just him as Cross, and then also as Yellow Jacket. I thought the action compared to the plan and all that adds up to like, I like this.
As
I
somebody
enjoy it.
Cross, the actor, I knew from
House of Cards.
House of Cards. Thank
Right.
you. And he was so serious in that. What I appreciate maybe even more on probably my third viewing of Ant-Man here is the fact that he's not an over the top, like totally unbelievable. He's a very good comic book villain in this comic book movie, right?
Yeah.
This movie is colorful and funny and bright, and it's like bending MCU. It's not the most serious thing of all time, right? And so he fits really well there. And I like his, like playing both sides with Michael Douglas. I like their backstory. Why did you trust me? All that stuff. And then of course just to go, crazy.
It's funny though, because I think like if you look across like the verticals that I judge an MCU movie on and like what I look for and what I expect from them, this kind of just checks off every single thing on the list where it's legitimately funny. He's cool. The action scenes are unique and fun, and like it being like using the small scale and all that stuff. I think they do a lot of really cool, unique things with it. The supporting cast in every way is just fantastic, whether it's his crew being funny as hell or Michael Douglas and even Evangeline Lilly and stuff like that. I just feel like all the characters in this are rad. The Baskin-Robbins boss guy, like there's just so many funny characters. And on top of that, like we get really cool MCU stuff. Like this builds out a new corner of the MCU, but them playing with the decades and the time and introducing Pym Tech, which we know ends up being like a very pivotally important thing to the overall story. But opening with getting Haley Atwell and seeing Howard Stark and all that stuff, like it makes Ant-Man's world feel like it's been part of this world the entire time. Building even where they are in the Triskelion, which we had just seen in Winter Soldier, but like now it's 1989, whatever. It's like all that stuff I thought was like really, really cool. And then when they're doing like the test run of him jumping out of the plane and oh shit, it's the Avengers compound and Falcon's here. That was awesome. Like we don't get moments like that. Like we always talk about how the Hulk was seen in the Thor Ragnarok trailer, and like how cool would it have been for us to not know that and have that surprise in the theater?
Say, hi, my name is Scott.
Like, it's so funny. But like having Anthony Mackie as Falcon show up with the Avengers music where they were, it's like, whoa, this is possible. And I feel like Ant-Man was the first time that ever happened. Like even before that, we had Black Widow and Winter Soldier, but like we knew that, like she was in the trailers and stuff. So I just think that it's cool that this movie had a surprise and it had like all these cool moments. And I mean, the freaking train scene where they're fighting and the train just like hits them. It's never not funny. I love it.
It's hilarious. That was spoiled in the trailer though, right? I'm not crazy about that. Yeah, that was the biggest spoiler of any trailer because that's the funniest moment still to this day. God bless it.
And even them falling in the briefcase and as they're fighting and like it hits creative. The music starts playing. I'm like, come on, this is great.
Yeah.
But I want to get into the plot, but before I do that, let me tell you about our sponsors. Shout out to Grammarly for sponsoring this episode. From essays to emails, Grammarly's communication assistants can help you write with confidence. Grammarly is a must-have for every student. Best of all, it's free to download and works on all your favorite devices and apps. A ton of us here at KindaFunny have been using Grammarly for years, and Joey specifically is a huge fan. She says, and I quote, Grammarly is used with everything. Emails, tweets, even writing our weekly schedule. Sometimes my brain works faster than my fingers, and it's nice to have a second set of eyes. The free versions of Grammarly offers comprehensive writing suggestions, a tone detector, and a synonym feature, all to help you proofread your work as you write, so you can be sure it's mistake-free and polished before submitting. Grammarly Premium comes with advanced features like Clarity Full Sentence Rewrites, which flag and rephrase hard-to-read sentences. Premium even comes with plagiarism detection. From essays and projects to emails and presentations, improve your grades this semester with Grammarly. You can sign up for an account today at Grammarly.com/KindaFunny and get 20% off when you're ready to upgrade to Grammarly Premium. That's GRAMMARLY.com/KindaFunny. Grammarly.com/KindaFunny. Andy?
We'll see how good Discord does this, but Greg, this one's for you, all right?
Thanks, buddy.
He's Rod, he's super hot. He's Rod, so here's the plot.
Okay.
It's hard to do bends with this guitar.
No, you nailed that, Andy. It came through wonderfully. I thought you were saying he's Rod. He's Rod. He's Rod.
Paul Rudd. Yeah, I was gonna say Paul Rudd, but it's like it's hard. You know?
That would have made more
It was the
sense.
Discord that did you dirty on that. In the room, I would have understood.
We also have a fridge over there that's giving birth to another smaller fridge. So it's so that's happening right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Ant-Man, it's 1989, the year that Batman came out. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Hank Pym is so pissed at Stark and Peggy for trying to knock off his Pym particle, or PP, as we're going to call it.
Don't touch my PP.
Don't touch my PP. Facial de-aging
CG
here is
also.
weird, but cool.
A lot of good de-aging technology they're using here.
He says,
great.
As long as I'm alive, nobody will ever get that formula. We go over to present day where Paul Rudd gets jumped out of prison. God bless the scene.
God bless.
It's great. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Michael Pena comes to pick him up, and this is I love Michael Pena in this.
Yep.
Just the most fantastic part of this movie. Oh, is it a boy or a girl? The fridge finished giving birth. Scott ends up working at 31 Flavors, which has the best ice cream flavor of all time, gold medal ribbon. Highly recommend you guys try that. He gets fired, even though.
But
Daryl
hold
thinks
on,
he's
real
cool.
quick. Even the van ride, when we're just first getting introduced to all this stuff, every line of dialogue that Michael Pena has is just hilarious and just builds and builds and builds. And when he ends it with like, oh
she
yeah,
left
this
me.
happened, mom died, whatever. But I got the van. It's like, fuck yeah.
But also, it's just the fact that he never stops smiling.
yep.
Yeah.
It's always the same emotional state, no matter what's happening,
It's
which is
still
always the
sad.
funniest thing.
Yeah, it's still sad,
Right.
like really depressing statements. Oh yeah, my girlfriend, she left me. My dad died. Like everything's
Mom
really
died, dad got
fucked up.
deported.
So freaking funny. He, of course, gets a job, but he lied on his resume over at 31 Flavors. And so Dale, even though despite thinking he's very, very cool, fires him. His parting gift, of course, is a mango fruit blast, which I never caught the first 3 times. He goes, you can take one of those on the way out. And then it cuts and he's drinking one. Which is, it's just kind of sad.
Baskin Robbins never, or what is it? Never misses.
Baskin Robbins always finds out.
Always finds out.
Well, they say that, and then later, Michael Pena's like, they always find out, bro.
Baskin Robbins always finds out, bro.
That's
Scott
the most
meets
like Nick Scarpino boss, though. I'll say, like the fact that boss is like, look, man, I love that you did this crime. Like this crime was really cool,
Stick it to
but
the
you
man,
can't
man.
do that here.
They, of course, it is introduced there that he knocked over Velcro Tech or whatever it was, Veritech Corp or whatever it was, and that's going to come up later when Michael Douglas talks about it. I don't know what he's laughing at either.
Yeah,
Scott-
like the way Velcro's, it'll come up later.
I don't know. It's a very generic company that they were like,
he
throw it in
stole.
there.
He's Robin Hood. He stole it from the rich.
Well, we'll
Give
get
it
to
the
Yeah,
poor.
Yeah.
But I don't need to call out every single line that made me laugh because there's a lot of them. But even the kid that is buying Baskin Robbins from him,
Yeah.
and he's just like,
Come on, man. he's like,
dude, we do ice cream.
Anything hot? He's like,
can I just get whatever's hot and fresh?
yeah.
We do ice cream.
It's so funny. Scott makes up with his new gang, which includes Polka Dot Man, who's the actor we love. They tell the audience.
T.I. Everyone forgets T.I.
Nobody forgets.
Nobody forgets T.I. T.I. is just
Joey
T.I.
forgot T.I.
Surprise.
They tell the audience that Scott isn't a criminal. Actually, he's more like Robin Hood, robbing from the rich to give to the poor. And you're like, okay, well, he's still robs
Baskin
people.
Robin Hood.
Whoa!
They want him for a job, robbing some rich guy, but he's like, guys, I'm out. Then we cut over to Pym Technologies, where Hank has just arrived, and everyone's like, oh,
He's not
Hank
dead.
Pym. It's Hank Pym. It's crazy. And he's got a little mini tank on his keychain. Don't forget that.
A mini tank in the
'Cause we're-
first act.
We're going to show you it 15 more times before the payoff for it. Not much of a payoff. They just kind of burst through the building. That's it. It's okay.
That's pretty cool.
We see it 15 times. I thought that tank was going to take over the world.
That's so funny. I didn't notice that. I remember one.
I definitely
Yeah.
remember this one. And
They show it
and-
so many times. Every time he leaves the house,
And
or
yeah,
comes
and-
back
and
to the
Paul
house.
Rudd grabs the
It's a
keys at one
close up
point
of the
and
key.
has-
That's so
every
funny.
single time.
This is the Star Wars dice again.
It's the fucking dice, Andy. It is the dice and Angelina Lilly's bad wig in this. It's not a wig. It's not a wig. It's a real hair, everyone.
Real hair.
Remember that. Been paid to say that. We've been given a cease and desist by Big Wig.
Mm-hmm.
It's her real hair.
It's a real hair, Tim.
It's a real hair. Y'all got lilied.
Anyway, let's see. We meet her. We meet him. No, okay, she's there. Okay, with her real hair.
Yeah,
Wink,
okay,
wink.
she's there. Everybody
Wink,
calm
wink.
down.
Wink, wink. I can't keep it silent forever. We meet with Andy's favorite person on the planet, Darren Cross. He gives everyone a presentation for the future of Pym Labs, which is called Cross Labs. He tells everyone about the research into the soldier the size of an ant.
The
Was that-
ultimate secret weapon.
Yeah.
An ant man.
Again, one of my few criticisms of this movie, and we'll just get it out of the way now, is that they're like, this is the ultimate secret weapon, but we have to shrink down a human being to be in this tiny little thing that is super powered, even though it could just be a robot. And then this other guy's like this, oh, I can talk to ants. And nobody cares about that. Not one person cares that this person can control trillions and trillions of these tiny little things that can get anywhere and kill anything. And everyone's like, what a stupid fucking thing you wasted your life doing, you stupid sad old man. Why don't you get HPV in your throat again?
It was a tall tale. He ate too much pussy. It was a tall tale. It was a tall tale. They didn't know about the ant business yet, all right? They didn't know it was up there.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, that's the skill I'd probably put all my points toward in the game. You know what I mean, Andy? Like, not so much shrinking, but to be able to control every insect on the planet
I
would
thought you
be
were saying
fucking
something
incredible. Oh, no, I already mastered that
I think
one.
it'd be a lot. I think it'd be a lot cooler to give the little ants like little guns.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Ant
What about a
guns.
little camera? What about a little
Like
little
this.
thing that you put on their back that you can hold on to when they fly? Anthony.
Yeah, you know
Anthony,
what? I'm gonna say it. The thing that I'm most upset about this movie is Anthony's death.
it was sad.
It was sad,
Off
but it
camera.
wasn't
Off
sad
screen.
enough. I feel like they set it up, but they just didn't.
I'm with you.
They didn't commit as hard as they needed to.
I'm with you. It just kind of happens. I needed more of like a slow-mo kind of like, no, like sort of something to really like ratchet up. Like, oh, will he actually survive? Because it just kind of happens. It's like, oh, Anthony. And like, then they focus on the wing a lot, but it isn't as sad as it could be. I'm with you, Tim.
Remember, death can happen at any point, Andy. You gotta get used to that. You gotta be ready at any point. It could happen. Any
Hey,
point.
looking at the camera.
Andy, I
Straight
just
to the
slacked you
camp.
something. Of course, Cross is like my mentor here used to. We told tales of the Ant-Man, but is the Ant-Man real, Andy?
It's just a tall tale, Nick.
That's right, Andy. And it's just a tall tale, but it gave him a great idea. He's like, I can smash the atoms closer together, which for whatever
He spelled
reason,
tail wrong, by the way. He spelled it's T-A-L-E, not T-A-I-L.
you know, 98% of the way
Give
there.
and take.
Andy's like a fucking overbearing mom over here, right? I get a 98. He's like, you got 2 more points. You could have been for perfection.
It must be
Hold on.
nice.
I'm out there doing
It
drugs
must
now
be
because of
nice.
Andy's pressure, the pressure he puts on me.
It
doing
must
drugs.
be nice in the middle of the afternoon to be able to roll out of bed into your own pile
wearing
of shit
pants?
to fart in,
Fucking
and then just
part of
go
the
on camera.
shit.
You and I are here cracking the atom.
Jesus
We're
Christ.
making the content.
And he's
We're
like
entertaining
knees.
the one guy who was here, Anthony Corbett, who was here
Fucking
all alone.
Cooper Fuqua is in there just laughing at all of us.
And hold on, Andy. And he had his hand raised.
I want to call out a past Slack interaction that I had with Nick that I ended up taking a screenshot and sending it to Tim.
You don't need to.
Because when we were on some in review, maybe it was a kind of funny podcast. Nick had showed Tim a diagram of like this is where the anus is on the
Yeah,
human
it was the
body.
Mons Pubis episode of the podcast.
Yeah, Mons Pubis, and it's like it's basically like imagine a dude with his like kind of bent over, but like there's the anus, there's the balls, right? And
It's a
Nick
scientific
sent-
diagram. It's not a real
It's not
human.
goatsy or something.
Yeah.
It's a scientific diagram, yeah. And Nick sent me this screen capture
Yeah,
of
it
just
was
like
during the podcast so Andy could see what we were talking about where the Mons Pubis was.
there's an arrow pointing to where the anus is, and it says anus, right?
Yeah.
So there's that screen capture. Then right after, hey, it's open enrollment time for healthcare. Do you want to make any changes to your health policy? I was just like, I said it to Tim. I was like, the parallel different, like it's just two
Well,
different ends of the spectrum.
Andy,
with
I
both
meant
of
to send
these.
those together. So you knew that if you needed any changes, it's for all your body, for your whole
I
body.
hate you. I hate you.
Anyway, back to the plot, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, can we focus, Andy? Do you mind?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Cross is like, I made a breakthrough, guys. I'm gonna the space between the atoms. I got them smaller, so for whatever reason, everything goes smaller. It is twice, 800 times stronger, which makes no scientific sense, but it doesn't matter because I got the yellow jacket, which gives the user ultimate combat advantage. Probably could also just make a robot too, right? Because then you don't have to worry about that whole inorganic shrinking thing. But then we wouldn't have a cool.
He's not that kind of guy, though. You know, that's not the technology he's working on. Plus, we just had the whole Ultron thing. They're kind of anti-robot right now.
I guess
a lot of
so.
robot hate crimes happen.
That's a good point.
Plus,
iRobots are just
anti-robot
getting drug
settlement.
out and they're getting thrown in giant piles and burned alive.
yeah, the iRobots. That's the Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
No, what's the vacuum?
The vacuum.
Isn't the iRobot the little
That's a
fucking...
Roomba. It's a Roomba, Tim. Tim.
No,
Roomba.
it's the brand is iRobot.
Is it really?
Yeah.
No, it's called a Roomba.
We're both right. The brand is iRobot.
That's incredible.
The Roomba is an iRobot?
That's a
Yeah.
terrifying thing to name your company.
I can log it up in my app real quick.
that. The brand is iRobot.
That's
yeah.
wild. I would never have thought
And Will
that.
Smith has nothing to do with the Roombas.
iRobot, of course, classic
What?
Isaac Asimov book about a dystopian future where robots.
You want me to freak out? Should I freak out the nanny stardom right now?
What a
Little
weird
Ben could be
ass.
playing right in front of him.
But also, I love stardom. Like, how many Roombas do you have?
I got Sucky who sucks it, and I got Moppy who mops.
Because like, what's our payoff?
Very creative.
You know, like
Yeah.
What do you mean? What's your payoff? We hit
We're
the
not
button, and
gonna
we
get,
laugh.
like,
We have a good
footage.
laugh.
It's so fun. Remember when you used to just.
in charge of several
Maybe Jen's
Roombas.
up there. Maybe Jen's up there getting a cup of coffee. She freaks out, says something in French, you know?
Remember when you used to say, "Hey Alexa, start things," and then Jen would text you 5 minutes later,
Yeah.
pissed off.
Yeah.
That was
I would
hilarious.
start the Halloween theme right before I came. Start banging on the door.
A couple days ago,
Ding, ding, ding. You're a monster. God, I love you.
a couple days ago,
Oh.
my Siri started talking to my Google, and they were just having like going back and forth, and I was like, "This is the end." There's no getting out of here.
Yeah.
Greg.
That's how it becomes sentient. Hope and Hank watching horror as exactly what Hank didn't want to happen is happening. One of the investors questions him, and he's like, I don't know if we should do this. What if our enemies get it? And he's like, I really value your opinion. It's like anytime I tell Tim anything, he puts his hand on the shoulder. He goes, I really value your opinion, Nick. I'd love to talk about that later. And then I go, when are we going to talk about
try to
it?
book
And he
time?
never,
Time
there's no
available on
time
the
on the
schedule?
calendar. It's never there. Let's see. Scott shows up at his daughter's B-Day party, uninvited, and Bobby Cannavale is a see you next Tuesday to him. Judy Greer tells him to be the person his daughter already thinks he is, so he decides he's like, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. My daughter thinks I'm a hero. I'm going to be a good person for her. Let's rob someone. A weird leap in logic, but we do it anyway.
They call him he calls him an ass hat, and he's like, no, don't sweat. I said hat.
It's funny.
I like that.
Also, anytime you put Judy Greer in anything,
For reals, man.
great.
Can't
Also,
save anything. That show Reboot that came out,
Yeah.
not that great.
no,
Did I watch it all I did?
No.
Did she
She's
do good?
amazing
in
in
it?
Arrested
She
Development.
did.
Bobby
Halloween.
Cannavale is in a movie called Spy, and it's hilarious.
He was also in Boardwalk
Halloween.
Empire, remember?
Was he?
Terrifying in Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, didn't know that. Darren turns Frank into organic goo and then goes out to dinner with Hope and her wig. No.
That's a real
We don't
hair.
talk
That's a
about
real
that
hair.
anymore.
That's a
It's her real hair. Scott comes home and asks about the gig, and we get the greatest scene ever put on film. Luis talks him through the gig and narrates the whole thing, and I fucking love this. This
Of
always
course,
gets
yeah,
me every
yeah,
single time.
yeah.
I also love the payoff of it, too, where it's like it does it again, and then it's from Douglas.
Douglas.
They head over to Pim's SF house, and Scott heads in using the power of parkour, which I was like, oh, he's a parkour guy. That's weird.
Parkour.
And then we never see him do parkour again. It's strange. Scott uses the tank keys. We see him there.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Well, because it's like,
Parkour in the first act.
because for whatever reason, they're like, he's got to jump over this fence. We'll make him very agile in parkour.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I mean,
okay, is that going to be his thing then?
He's a good cat burglar.
He's a good cat burglar, but also it's like, I'm with you that I guess there's not actual parkour in the way that there is here, but like he is running through little anthills a lot and like
Jumping
and jiving and stuff.
Keyhole, right?
It just
Yeah.
reminds
Parkour.
Yeah, I get that, but he has to train to do that. Right, that makes sense. In this, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Like if you're watching a Naked Gun movie and it's like Leslie Nielsen's supposed to do something, and they clearly cut to like the 600-pound athlete that does the thing, and then it cuts back to him. You know what I mean? It just it seems weird because at no point does Paul Rudd ever do anything that agile as himself and not the Ant-Man. It just kind of was weird to me. Anyway, cool. They hired a stunt guy and they gave him his day rate. Good for you guys. We're supporting Hollywood. Great. Get out there and make your fucking stupid student films. Everyone. It's not
Why
gonna
is
work
he
out for
angry
you.
now?
It's not gonna work
No, I
out.
don't
Just
know.
ask the
It's not
question.
gonna fucking work out for you. You're going to be relegated to
You know
YouTube
what I
videos
mean?
the rest of your life.
They
You're going to be
don't care.
Roger. You're going to have to cut my comedy videos.
If I have to hear Roger talk about AI, we're not.
God.
You know what I mean?
Well, every time Roger starts talking about Siri and Alexa fighting with each other and that causing fucking Skynet, I'm just like, get out of
my
college.
God.
Get out of college, Roger.
Poindexter.
Anyway, Scott uses the tank keys. You've seen him the second time now to get into the lab downstairs, which is way more high tech than he expected. So he uses Loctite and some Scotch tape to make a fingerprint of a doorknob and makes a rubber fingerprint, and that gets him into the lab. Then he drills a hole into the safe door and freezes it because of the Titanic. And all he finds is an old motorcycle suit. Love this whole sequence. The freezing of the thing, the fun,
was
pulling
fun.
up the
It was
blankets,
fun.
very, very clever. That stuff works for me. The parkour thing, for whatever reason, stuck out as a
Again,
sore thumb.
showing like he is the master cat burglar, right? He knows this.
Resourceful.
Safe from 1912 or
Yeah,
whatever.
he's
Yeah.
resourceful. Love that.
I like the David, I forgot how to say his
Polka
last
Dot Man.
name. Polka Dot Man saying that I am in like the Flynn.
That's good. That's a great reference. Hank watches the whole thing go down. Andy, I spelled whole Hole. You want to make fun of me now
Andy,
for that?
God, dude, he's out here taking
You want to make fun of me
notes.
for that?
You know what I mean?
I got to type faster than you can think.
You
and
roll
I
out of
spell
bed,
one word wrong, and you got to make fun of me
Pantsless,
for
you
that.
walk over to this camera, you pick up a guitar. Think
I'm rolled wrong, Andy. You got a guitar? You're playing guitar with your feet. You got so much fucking time. Look, my left foot over there. All
Why
right.
are these two men
How
just
many-
attacking me?
you know? At first, I thought he had two fans back there, and I think it's just one. But I still say we pay him too much.
It does look like he has two
I
fans.
salvaged it. I thought, some people would look at the blown up photo and be like, "Oh, I can't make that joke." I still made the joke, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome, Anthony Corbett.
God, this is a great podcast.
Holy shit.
All right. Hank watched the whole thing go down with a small camera on the back of an ant. Darren still can't shrink organic material, but he's willing to kill every sheep in the Bay Area to make it work. Back at home, Scott tries on the suit and accidentally shrinks himself with a powerful use of CG. CG here, not great. Did not age that well with the whole bathtub and stuff. But I do like the perspective they use. I like that they make it look like he's super small with the use of motion, blur and like the tilt
it's a
shift.
Dyson. It's a Dyson fan too.
No, this is the one that's broken. I bought that little shitty cheap one because this one doesn't heat anymore, and it's been getting real cold with the bomb cyclone, atmospheric river.
Have you
Pineapple
hit up
Express.
Dyson about it?
I don't know what to do. I've opened it
Just
up like
tag 'em.
5 times.
Don't open it up.
And
There's
I've,
a
like,
heating
I'll
oil.
tweet it.
Engineered it. It just doesn't work.
Andy, hold it up like that real
Don't
quick.
worry, Andy. Greg's gonna tweet for
Hold
you.
on.
we
Barry,
go
go
back
back
to
to
that?
the one shot. Andy, hold it for 1 second. I'm taking a photo.
No, hold it
Thank
down
you.
just a little bit. Just down just a little bit. Down a little bit. Down a little bit. Doesn't it kind of look like Andy's tiny and he's holding a needle?
Sure. Yeah, the top where you put the thread
That-
through. Yeah, I got you. That makes
You're
sense.
like Ant-Man.
So cool. You're like Ant-Man, Andy. You're like our Andy Ant-Man.
I'm with you on
Andy
this,
Man.
Nick, where it's like some of the CG, like it's not great, but
Not
I
great.
feel like the choreography of it all and just like
Fun.
the sound design and everything, it's really fun. And when they get into the club that we always joke about, like this fucking San Francisco club at the
A
Tenderloin.
non-stop
2
dance
p.m.,
club at the
like-
bottom of 2 p.m.
Sure, okay.
Whatever.
But I love that there's like girls with like see-through like acrylic heels on.
Yeah.
And like you see the little Ant-Man like go behind and like he looks all deformed and stuff. Like
So fun.
they just had a lot of fun with
Yeah.
it. And I
Yeah.
liked that.
You can
The
tell.
the style, Tim, is kind of what make like it over well, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it
Makes up
how
for
not
the-
great the CG
yeah.
looks, the style kind of like overpowers everything. Looks really damn
Yeah,
good.
and even with that, like I think his suit looks incredibly cool. Like MCU often gets suits right, but I think that this Ant-Man one is so dope because it's like very functional. But even like him having the button,
Yeah.
like on the side of his fingers, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just really cool integration, and like it's one of those things where it looks cool and it makes sense for the tech that they've designed for it all.
Agreed.
This is going live tomorrow for everybody.
No,
When's this go live?
Monday.
Okay, I'm gonna put on button Dyson. No.
I agree, and I love that they keep the retro design. It's there. It's super cool.
Yeah.
100%.
And then the last thing I want to say about
yeah.
before the scene, like we see some shots of SF like establishing like where he is, and then you see the Muni buses and stuff. And I just think it's really cool that we haven't really seen this pay off yet, but it is interesting that Shang-Chi takes place in SF as well, right? So it's like we haven't seen those characters interact yet, and I doubt we will in Quantum Mania because that seems like they're in the quantum realm more.
Yeah.
But
Maybe one day,
still cool.
Sam,
but then they
a
stay
team
warm.
up. Maybe.
With Venom too, maybe.
Ooh, Venom. That's a different. He got knocked out of the universe. Remember?
Talk about like differences of like quality and how good and believable like Cross's lab is and everything going on there and the testing on the lambs versus Venom's fucking shit in Marin.
Their labs in Marin, yeah.
Garbage.
Boo.
I also want to point out that this is the only movie that revolves around superheroes in San Francisco where they don't feel the need to destroy the Golden Gate Bridge. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Pretty cool.
Well, Venom, but yeah.
Yeah, Venom,
eventually.
the other one we talked about.
But well, I mean, Venom destroyed
Shang-Chi.
the character of Venom.
Venom
I'm
destroyed my
saying,
motivation.
this is
to
the
watch
first one to
movies.
come out that didn't do it.
Gotcha,
Okay,
gotcha.
Sorry
Okay.
for the.
This set the trend.
It's, come on, guys. We
So
gotta
I
keep
didn't
our-
mean to go to their side for a
keep
second.
our-
I went to their side for a second. I should have been there with you.
Andy, hold up your stupid big needle again.
There you go. So there's the tweet. Hey Dyson,
right.
at Andy Cortez at the Andy Cortez's fan isn't working anymore. Can you help him? Full story on our Ant-Man rewatch one day.
No,
I didn't want to write the whole story.
No
I
link.
just put it in there in case they wanted
They'll
to do it.
listen.
You know what
They'll
I mean?
get it.
Like I don't have time.
Oh,
I'm in the middle of a show. I'm trying to take it seriously.
Scott,
Tim over every 5 seconds I try to do anything. You know what I mean?
Scott tries to put the suit back because he's freaking out that Michael Douglas is talking to him. Then he gets arrested for being an idiot. Bobby Cannavale, still a dick. Scott gets a visit from
Well, I
his
mean,
lawyer.
he followed up exactly like what was going to happen. We really thought you changed this time,
Yeah.
Scott.
You don't have to rub it in though, dude. You're already, you're already like hanging
You're
out with my family.
you're already rubbing something else in. You know what I mean?
I love that Nick, in a rare instance, tried to not be obscene there. And
pulled it
literally
back.
Went for the most wholesome thing. He's just hanging out with his family. That's what he's doing. And then Greg is like, no, I'm not letting this go. We're going all out.
I'm sorry. If there's some revenge deep dicking going on, I'm going to call it out, all
Oh
right?
my god!
It's true. It's very
A lot
true.
of people like you are afraid of it,
Just
not me, all right?
calling it how
Hold
he
on,
sees it.
just to be clear, what am I afraid of?
Calling out.
Calling out revenge deep
Destructive
dicking.
Got
deep
it.
dicking
Got it.
going on in
Right.
the MCU.
It's
and I'll
happening
start
everywhere.
a podcast within a podcast if you make me.
What's it going to be?
So
What
it's-
would the podcast be?
It's a very pertinent point.
Dicking deep with Nick and Greg.
It's this is a problem that's penetrated all aspects of our society
Andy,
at
the
this point.
song.
I will not. I will not. Dick and deep.
Nick and Greg.
Thank you, Barrett. Welcome to Dick and Deep with Nick and Greg.
Scott,
This is some revenge dick and deep
dude,
in me.
never take revenge when you're digging deep. Just keep
All right,
focused.
that's it. Right now on the Dick and Deep ratings, it's that guy from Boardwalk Empire and Judy Greer.
There it is, number 1 with a bullet. Anyway, Scott gets a visit from his lawyer, who turns out to be Hank, and then he uses ants to cover the camera and gives Hank, he goes, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either stay here and do your time or break out of prison. One of those things where I'm like, I don't know if that's a great choice.
Yeah, you know, honestly,
I'm risking really life incarceration for this.
This scene is one of the ones that, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you think about it, even just a little bit, it all starts to fall apart.
Bad.
Because Hank Pym walking in,
Yeah.
like, sure, he's not like the biggest celebrity in the world, but like,
No.
they've established that like people kind of know who he is.
But if like they'd be like Rupert Murdoch walking in, you'd be like, someone's going to recognize Rupert Murdoch. You know?
I mean,
The people at Pym Industries know.
yeah,
who he
yeah.
is.
So that's true, but I just feel like him just being like, "Yo, I'm a lawyer for this."
That's
It's
more.
like,
That's more where I don't understand. If Nick got arrested and I just showed up in a suit, can I be like, "I'm Nick's lawyer"?
I just don't
And they're
think
like,
that's
can,
how that
Can I
works.
see your lawyer
That's
badge?
how
I'd
they
be
always
like,
portray it in other
Right.
pieces of media, though, where people are pretending to be lawyers to visit, people who are incarcerated.
That happens all the time. Yeah.
I mean,
Barrett's
I'm
right.
sure
That
there's
in-
some sort of check-in process where they verify you're a lawyer.
Yeah,
right?
You just
Like,
walk up and you say, I'm your lawyer. And it's never the lawyer. It's always like the criminal who's trying to get you out.
Andy,
Yeah.
do you think that he walked up and said, I'm your lawyer? And they said, let me see your lawyer badge. And he held it up. And the guy was like, that's just a bunch of ants.
I did
is-
like the ants doing the countdown.
That was pretty good. That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
this is the Peruvian jelly bean ant. And it can go into your mind to make you see things, and you see the lawyer badge.
That's pretty incredible. All right. So that anyway, he busts out. And we get the scene with Anthony where he meets Anthony with 248 or 247. We don't know which one it is. There's a lot of ants, Scott. There's a lot of ants.
Wow, that's a good Michael Douglas.
Thanks, guys. I had to do a lot of something over the years to get that that voice.
Yeah, that
the
gravel.
tool that I have here.
gravel.
Man, the whole controlling ant thing creeps me out still. Back in Scott's
Strange.
Strange.
Now he's really going to jail forever because he's broken out, which is everyone here. Scott wakes up in Hank's house with his bed covered by bullet ants, so that when he moves, they walk. I love this part, but it creeps me the fuck out. Of course, Hope's been watching him. She's creepy too. Everything in this creepy old mansion is creepy as shit. Hank has been watching Scott ever since he robbed Vista Corp.
Nailed it.
Way off. I was way off on that. Hank,
Also Vista. Remember that?
no.
Mike's got. For me? You got me in and out?
Woo!
Oh man, what a nice boy Mike
That's
is.
great. Hank tells Scott about his tech. He's like, dude, I learned how to change the distance between atoms, but it was dangerous, so I hid it from the world, but now Darren Cross wants his pee-pee. Been particle.
EP.
Hope voted Pym out of the company for some weird reason, but then came back when she found out that Cross sucks as much as Andy has always told us that he sucked. Andy, we never believed you, and I'd like to apologize on behalf of Greg. They strike up a deal. If Scott agrees to help him, he'll make sure Scott can see his daughter. And Scott's like, okay. I'd have a couple questions. I'm like, how are you going to get me out of this whole breaking out of jail thing? How did anyone get me out of this whole breaking out of jail? He was arrested, and then this madman goes on a fucking tear, and he saves him. And Bobby Cannavale's like, we got you covered, bro. We checked you out. But he was still arrested at the whole thing.
No,
Remember,
you're
if
making
you're
good
not
points.
in front of a judge, though, that's that. If you can get out of jail before you're actually processed like that, you're fine.
Monopoly
You're
rules.
Yep,
I get it.
Monopoly rules.
Ah,
During this
man.
conversation, there's a couple things I liked. Like the would you like some sugar? And then the ants like bring the little sugar cubes, and he's like, oh, actually, I'm good. And then they like
Turn
pause
around.
for a second, turn around, and take it back. Like that shit's great. And then the whole my days of breaking into a place and stealing shit are done. It's like,
agreed,
what do you
yeah.
need me to do? Break into a place and steal
Steal
some shit.
Great. Fantastic. Cross finally shrinks a sheep and then goes bink, and then she goes, and then Hope realizes the clock is ticking.
Oh my god.
Scott thinks their first move should be to call the Avengers, but Hank's like, I don't trust any. He's like, I don't trust any Starks or Lannisters for that matter.
Game of Thrones. Bet you thought I wouldn't get it, but I got it.
I didn't know what song that was, but you got
Oh, that's just my little Game of Thrones intro I like.
Hope really wanted to wear the suit, but Hank can't risk losing other family members. Scott, I need you to be the Ant-Man.
Hold on.
What?
I just love that, like, Greg sings that song. Nick says, I didn't know, or Tim says, I don't know what song that was. He goes, oh, it's my Game of Thrones song. And there's a couple of seconds of like hesitation in there. And if Tim would have furthered that, like, it would have just taken us off.
It would have gone, dude. Greg was ready to
But
fucking
there's
take flight.
Like, I need people to rewind this and look back to where Greg's looking at Tim like, give me the
Just-
fucking
yeah.
feed me and I'll continue this. right
exactly.
now."
Andy, I warned everybody, Tim, before this episode that I was going to drink a Coke. And you know what that does to me? Makes you ornery, all right? I could be up to anything.
It makes you what?
Ornery. Not horny.
Ornery.
It's a real word.
It's like it's ornery. I say ornery, but he says ornery because he's from the Midwest.
That's right. And so on that, I'm actually going to leave the set for a second. I'll return. I'm not bringing a prop. Don't worry. Just over in the live chat, Jasik says, happy they're going to redo Ant-Man and the Wasp in review. That's one of the weakest in review episodes. So I'm going to go time his ass out because I'm not going to have that kind of shit here. All right?
All right.
So Jasik, say your goodbyes now, you stupid fuckface.
He's our Joker, man. I don't know.
Basic, we'll be back next week with I promise
Jason.
you
Sorry.
that next week's will be better than the first time around.
Thank you for paying extra for this.
Man, you know
Basic. I'll
what?
see you later.
It's been a while since I've heard stupid fuckface. It's been a while since I've heard that insult.
Oh, man, I love how the whole chat's saying bye to Jasik.
Bye,
Jasik, I'm sorry, dude. You don't
I'm so
deserve this.
sorry, Jasik.
Anyway, Hope really wants to wear the suit. We get a training montage, which is great. This whole
Love
thing's
a
fun
montage.
as fuck, and
And
Scott makes friends with Anthony. I'm gonna call you Anthony.
I love that in this movie they do the thing where we see the montage multiple times and like he's not good in the first one and then he's really good in the second one. This is gold.
Always fun.
Good for
Always
you
a great
guys.
payoff. Scott wants to. Let's see. Scott tells Hanks, he's like, I think this regulator is a little bit weird. Hank's like, don't fuck with the regulator because if you do and it pops, you'll shrink down forever into the quantum realm and beyond for all of eternity. And he goes, yeah, I think the regulator's great. I think it's good. Scott trains martial arts with Hope and he takes his shirt off per every contract that any male actor has had from phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
You got to have that ripped out moment and he looks fucking
And
good.
dude, it's such a surprise. Like I think the only thing more surprising than Anthony Mackie being in this movie was Paul Rudd just looking fucking good with his shirt on.
Ralph, dude.
Didn't need to, but I'm happy he did.
Didn't need the scene. Well, I think we're probably moving away from this a little bit. Maybe I don't know, but I don't need these guys to get to do that much testosterone and steroids and deplete their body of water that much. But it looks
Wow.
fucking great in this.
We've all had character development here, except
I
for
know.
maybe Greg.
I know.
But here's Nick.
I've developed just not the way you want it.
Listen,
Is that right? I bet in 2015 I was much more respectful in the chat.
did you just bring lotion back with you?
Yeah, my hands are real bad. You ever get them chapped hands?
I get them all the time.
And then I got this fucking puppy. He's biting my hands all the time.
Maybe he wants the lotion off of him. You ever think of that? Maybe you're like a big lollipop to him.
No, I haven't started putting the lotion on.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out. Hope gets mad. Let's see. We get introduced to the discs that summon the red ones shrink, the big one, the blue ones enlarge. Remember those? And Scott learns to talk with ants, but he can't quite do it. And then Hope gets mad at everyone. And Scott tries to console her, and she tells him that her father, after her mother's death, the relationship was strained with her father. He went away for 10 years and never really came back. She feels shut out, and he goes, he trusts you. I'm expendable, which is completely obvious to everyone out there except for Hope because she's blinded by her rage. He said he'd rather you lose this fight than lose you. It's a very poignant line. She goes, okay, I apologize for calling the cops on you. That was kind of a dick move. And he goes, yeah, I have a record
I'll
for
never
life
see my
now.
daughter now.
In fact, if memory serves correctly, from here on out, up until Endgame, he is a convicted felon that is
In
on
and
the
out.
lam.
That's it.
Yeah. Man, you're really just laughing that stuff up. It's
I'm
great.
done. Well, I put so much on, you got to grind it in.
It's
then.
great.
You want some?
Kinda, yeah. Can I get a little bit?
give
Just
you-
the squirt, just the
I know,
squirt.
I know.
Ooh, ew, Andy, it's a dollop.
Tim, you signed up for a lifetime.
For audio listeners, Nick just presented the dollop of lotion to Tim, and that's why they started laughing a lot.
This is a fun day, guys. It's Thursday. Let's keep going. She said, I didn't know you had a daughter when I called the cops on you. She tells him how to talk to ants. It's really cool. And they flip a little coin. He's ready to go. Hank finally tells Hope what really happened to her mother. They wanted a job together to stop an ICBM missile that was headed toward America. But Janet, they couldn't get into the missile casing, so Janet had to go subatomic through the titanium sheathing or whatever to deactivate the bomb.
His
But
belt
she
wouldn't work
got-
anymore.
Yeah, his
She had to
regulator
do it.
got fucked up.
This shit was cool as hell.
It's
I love
awesome.
the way that they
Also
show
dope
this.
when she gets going back and her wings come out for the
It's
first
so
time.
tight. Like, yeah, everything about the plot of this moment and the way that they showed it, I thought was like really damn cool. And like I always love the flashbacks and different timeline things, but like knowing that they were Ant-Man and the Wasp before the Avengers were
So
a thing
cool.
is just really tight.
So cool.
I'll tell you the only thing I don't like about it. I'm gonna be a little salty Sally about this,
Yeah.
everybody. I don't love how kind of force-fed we are in these moments leading up to the reveal of what happened to Michelle Pfeiffer, because of just how like when we're leading up to we're having these training montages, and then suddenly we get bad wig lady being like, Dad, you didn't gotta lie to me, I know what really happened to my mom. But like there's just it just feels like this was the only way to give us this information, so let's just kind of like force it upon the audience. I wasn't a huge fan of these parts.
Yeah, I'm with you. With that, just there was the one line of the mom died in a plane crash. Please stop telling that lie. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
It just feels real out of nowhere. It's like this conversation would never happen here. Like,
Well, the whole thing feels forced, right? She's been alive for how long? Evangeline Lilly in this movie in mid 30s, maybe early 30s. So for 30 years, she's like, your mom died in a plane crash, and she's like, I know she didn't. At some point, they would have had this conversation earlier. It just
They've
feels
had it
very.
a few times.
What's that?
They've had it a few times.
Well, at some point, he
Why?
would have told her the truth.
Doubling
right?
down.
At a certain point, Michael Douglas's character is smart enough to realize that he's causing more harm than good by retaining this lie to his incredibly super smart daughter, who would totally get the ramifications and trust the fact that her mother was an independent person that wanted to go on this thing. And we get that in this moment. It's oddly convenient. It's very, very forced. But Paul Rudd ruining the moment, fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
One of the
I'll go
moments.
make some
tonight.
tea.
I'll go make some tea.
great, yeah.
Let's see. Scott's final training mission is to drop into an old Stark warehouse. What could possibly go wrong? To retrieve a signal blocker. One problem, it's not a warehouse anymore. It's the damn Avengers facility in upstate New York, which you'd think Michael Douglas would have checked on. Maybe a Google map.
It's new. It's just new. They put a whole bunch of people there recently.
Yeah, just recently. Real quick.
There's a cool pop in the audience for this one, I remember.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. And then we see Falcon, and you're like, this is why we love these movies, right? Because they give us these special surprises. Didn't know he was going to be in this fun little action sequence that ends with the best joke, where he radios back in and says, "It's really important to me that Cap never finds out about it."
That's so good. This is
So
like, I
funny.
think this is the moment that we like started to love Anthony Mackie, right? Like he was in Winter Soldier, and it was kind of like, oh, cool. I didn't really expect Falcon in this, but like
Man, this guy's slow.
He is real slow. He's like, that's cool, but I feel like in this movie, it's like, oh, this is the personality we expect from Falcon that we definitely see a lot more, like in Civil War, especially. I think he's really funny. But I love hearing the Avengers theme kind of play a bit. And again, this not only is one of the first times we get like characters that we don't expect in this, but also it's one of the first times they're treating the MCU like something that locations, like the compound itself, even like showing up in other movies, because that had just been introduced not that long
Very
ago.
end of
right?
Age of Ultron, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like that was really cool to see. And it's also now with the future understanding of where these movies go, like that's where we saw that is where the Portals battle happens.
Yeah.
And like that's just like so freaking wild to think.
Of course, they all get back, and Darren drops by for a surprise visit to tell Hank, he's like, "We're gonna be rich. You're gonna be the co-owner of the biggest company on the planet because I'm selling this shit tonight or tomorrow night." He wants Hank to share the moment with him tomorrow night. Cross calls Hope and tells him that he's like, "I don't trust that Hank at all. I'm tripling security." And anyone with half a brain would be like, he's playing all of you. He clearly knows that, which I guess they kind of allude to. They're like, it's a trap. We know this. And he's like, we don't have choice. We got to go in there. Cross, let's see. Thank you for the coffee, man. It's not too often. Oh, and then so he's like, we're gonna need extra teammates. And Hank's like, no, not those fucking idiots.
Wombats.
And it cuts. And Michael Pena with the best line here. Thank you for the coffee, man. It's not too often that you rob a place and they get welcome back. Because we just robbed you. It's so fun. It's so fun. Scott shows them the shrinking power. They all freak out, so she gives them some sleeping pills, and then they have a little moment where Hope is like, "I kind of like you, Paul Rudd, because I saw you with your shirt off, and man, you look good with that little thrust bucket thing you got going on down there."
God, great thrust bucket.
Scott had thinking
Hey, no future spoilers for Deep Dicking with Nick and Greg, all right?
Oh my God.
DDs with G and N.
Dickin' deep with Nick and Greg.
Give him a little dick so they can dig deep.
All right.
Let's see. Scott heads over. He thinks he's like, okay, this might be my last night on Earth. So he heads over to kiss Cassie one more time. Love, by the way, that he calls her Peanut. It's the cutest thing ever. They all head over to
This
Tim.
fucking kid.
This kid's cute.
So cute.
She's so great, man. I love her. I love her vibe. I love her stupid little ugly doll. She's just great.
Oh, I fucking love that part. She's like, oh, it's so ugly.
I love it.
I love it. Everything goes. Let's see. They head over to Pym Tech to start the heist. Everything goes well until Hank gets arrested. Of course, BTW. One more time, we see this fucking tank as he goes through security. It's there.
It
It's
is
everywhere.
there? Yeah.
Has the tank ever not been there, Tim? That is the question I have for you.
Question.
Everything. Bobby Cannavale and his partner come, and the partner. That guy was in the That got underutilized in this. He was in the HBO show, right? Oh,
Sorry,
Stringer Bell.
Stringer
The Wire.
Bell?
The Wire. Wasn't he in The
I
Wire?
watched
Wasn't
The
he the
Wire,
other guy
watched
on The
The
Wire? Anyway, he's very underutilized in this. Bobby Cannavale, very overutilized. Hank gets through security with the tank and his keychain and Cross talks. I guess T.I. runs interference for him. They steals the car, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. Turns out Cross is selling to the highest bidder.
Oh my
And it turns out that person is from Hydra. But guess what, guys? Don't worry. They're not how they used to be. They're doing some really interesting work.
So fucking good, man.
That line and that delivery is why that made me come back around to Cross.
Wow.
I like Corey
Wow.
Stoll, but right there I was like, he's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's just such a delusional billionaire that he's able to rationalize anything for the sake of money. That's a great character moment for him. Scott makes a leap into the Yellow Jacket chamber, but Cross traps him. Everything goes sideways. And Scott he's like, I don't know how to get out of here. Thankfully, I have these handy little blue discs that we set up last act that'll just blow me out of everything. Hank gets shot in the process. Hope uses the bullet ends to stop Cross. And by the way, again, I'm not saying these are two completely separate points, Greg. So clear your mind.
Sure.
Okay? I'm not drawing a parallel here. Okay, I'm not drawing a parallel, but I'm just saying that Evangeline Lilly used to have really short hair. She's had long hair, but she needed hair that could cover her ear. Did she grow it out? Did they have it cut that way? Or did they put a wig on her, which would be the easiest possible thing to do? Because she had to be able to cover that little device that looks like a hearing aid so she could talk to the ants, which apparently we're just supposed to believe she was wearing the entire time. Convenient.
Wig.
I don't know. Let's see. Cross has a cross
I love
particle.
that you're bringing up the questions that nobody else is, though.
I mean,
Someone
This
had
is-
to, Nick.
yeah.
I'm happy to you.
this is why I've been shadow banned across all platforms that I no longer post to. Hope
He's
you-
good.
I'm crushing
You gotta
after
think
that.
about it sometimes, Tim.
I know, I'm so good. Let's see. Scott gets activated against all the security guards, and this action scene is awesome because, again, using the scale models and all that stuff as they're blowing apart, and we're just seeing the models get shot. Super fucking cool. Hope tells her father they need a way out because the building's about to explode because they've set explosives there. And he goes, don't worry, I have a way out. I brought my fucking keychain. And she's like, fuck yeah, Dad. You bring that thing everywhere. For the last 40 years, you've had that keychain. And finally, fucking now, I understand that the tank is a real tank. I never could have put that together, Dad, that the tank's a real tank. But thank you now. Thank you for using this real tank.
So the tank didn't bother me as much as it seems to have bothered you in its amount of appearances. I just wasn't thrilled with what it did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
If it had a payoff where he fought, where it was like longer than a second, they launched themselves out of this thing, which would have killed them.
That's weird. Like,
And they land on the thing.
The decision to like we're gonna
Drive a
fucking
tank straight
drive
up
a tank like down what 5 stories? Like, seems a bit weird. But also, I'm not a tankologist. I don't know. Maybe the tank.
If only we had a resident tankologist with us. Oh, Andy's here. Andy, you went to school for tankology, right?
Yes.
Could two people, one very elderly with a bullet wound, survive a 5-story drop with an old like an old Panzer tank?
Whatever the answer is you want. You know?
No, they couldn't.
The answer's
They'd be
no.
they'd be broken up real
Verified.
bad.
The answer is no.
Verified. Let's see. Up on the roof, Cross is getting in the helicopter. Anthony gets shot in the crossfire, and we see one of his little cute little wings die. And he's like, "Oh no, Anthony, it's dead." Then we get the fight in the helicopter, which is super creative and fun. Cross, of course, very quickly puts on this yellow jacket suit. It's like he's practiced. And off we go. They get into
Weird quick tangent here.
Sure.
I must have said this before in our last Ant-Man interview, but there's just nothing cooler than a yellow jacket as
Yeah.
an animal.
About
I
it.
think yellow jacket is probably one of the dopest
Insect.
creatures, insects, whatever you want to call them.
They're a
Trying to
bunch of
help you.
assholes, though. I'm gonna be honest.
Sure.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah, they
sure.
can
But
keep
they're
stinging
fucking
you.
cool.
Yeah,
They're
but
the
like-
worst of the bees. They're the worst of the bees.
They stung me. Well, one stung me, not they. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a hit, but one stung me when I was like 5 years old on my eyelid.
Oh no.
That's a
Yeah.
bad sting.
It wasn't good.
They
Yeah,
swell up?
yeah, I got like 4 of them on me at one point, and they're all not even stinging me, just biting me.
Yeah, they bite.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
Damn,
Did you ever watch the Yellow Jackets on Showtime? Good show.
I haven't.
Real good show.
Joey did.
Let's see. Cross. Anyway, Scott knocks. They have this tumble. They play the Cure, which I'm like, that's a weird poll, but I guess it's fun. And they fall into the pool. And this nice family's having a barbecue and playing ping pong. Like, what the fuck's going on? And then all of a sudden, he knocks him into the bug zapper, which is hilarious. And then maybe it shocks Cross into insanity. I'm not quite sure. He's like, "Ugh,"
I think it brings him back to life there.
Oh, brings
I
him
feel
back
like
to
his
life.
Heart stopped.
Okay, cool. And then Bobby Cannavale and
mad.
T.I. just right there.
Right there.
No idea how they got from Tim Tech in their car all the way across the, but it doesn't matter. They're right there. San Francisco, 7 by
Very
7.
small. Very small.
Very small. They haul him in, but oh gosh, what's happening?
So I was looking into this pool situation because like And it's movie magic shit, but the people don't have pools in San Francisco.
No.
You ain't just gonna have a fucking pool.
100%.
I did some research. There are 5 residential places in San Francisco that have pools in their backyard.
Huh. This is one of them, apparently.
This is one of them.
And this one's in Walnut Creek.
You don't think you could just build a little small pool?
Well, that doesn't count. They had a full ass pool.
That was a big pool.
But also, was it in the city or was it
Could've
somewhere
been-
in the East Bay?
Yeah, it could have been East Bay. We don't
Because
know.
Walnut Creek would be a place that makes sense. It gets really hot in there over there in the ssummer. You know,
It's true. Pimtat could be in East Bay. We don't know. We don't know.
that's true.
They're in the back of the car, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta help." They get a call over the radio. He's like, "We gotta go to Cassie's house. Cassie's getting attacked. She's under attack." And he's like, "No, you gotta stay in the back of the car." And so he puts a little helmet on, and then he shrinks down, and up we go to fight Cross on the Thomas the Train. One of the ants gets blown up. One of the trains gets blown up. We get a great sequence here with the train. Yada yada yada. He calls her Peanut. It's the cutest thing on the planet. And then he has to go subatomic. We get to the point where he's like, "Oh, Janet's not the only one that can do this. I got to go subatomic to get the titanium suit." He goes all the way.
How are you pronouncing that, by the way?
Subatomic?
He's pronouncing
Yeah,
it the
oh,
right
yeah.
way, Andy.
Yeah, now it's
Subatomic?
Probably can't hear him over your broken fans.
Yeah. Get your fan working better, buddy. I did say it like gin and tonic. Maybe I want a cocktail right now. Who knows?
He admits to it.
100%. Yeah. That's one of those, you called it out. I was like, oof, I got to fix that one in the old noggin. He goes subatomic and keeps going into the
Well,
phantom
before
zone.
then, right? We get Cross.
Cross imploding into goo.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very frightening moment. But
But was
awesome.
it goo?
Awesome.
Or did he just shrink into the quantum realm?
We'll have to see
We'll have to see.
in Quantumverse of Mania.
Mhm.
The next
Did he
film
become
coming
all
out.
face?
Maybe he did. Maybe that forehead's paying off. If we all go bald, do we get to be MODOK? We don't know.
Maybe that forehead is paying
Oh, he's
off.
all forehead. The man's all forehead.
Man's all
I'm not saying
forehead.
anything Greg
All
doesn't
the
know.
five-head.
Yeah, he's all forehead.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot of shit about Nick, but he's been on. Like, he's been
Told
on
you.
fire.
Thank you guys. I'm delusional right now. I haven't had food in a while.
Yeah.
So he goes and
And
by
you
the
ate
way,
a lot of food. You ate a lot of popcorn during our Elden
I
Ring
ate
streams.
a normal amount of popcorn during our Let's Play, Eddie. We don't have to. Why am I looking back at you? You can't see me.
I know Michael
Jesus
was like, I
Christ.
love how Nick just brings a big. He's like, I'm gonna snack a little bit. Brings a big ass container of popcorn.
See, Andy,
I brought
what,
full
what you
popcorn.
missed is Nick walking out of that room with Mike when you guys were done. And in the classic Nick fashion, just talking, like just saying things, none of which he stood by. He was just like, yeah, and I'm eating this popcorn, this shitty fucking popcorn, whatever. He's like, you know, actually, it was good popcorn. It wasn't shitty at all. It's like, why'd you come out with that attitude?
We were in a
You
flow.
heard the shit,
we were in
right?
a flow state.
Yeah.
We were in a flow state, and I was still in the joke. I was deep in the Duffy of the joke. But then I looked over, and Joey looked at me, and I was like, "Oh, actually, I want you to know the popcorn's good. Please don't throw the popcorn out." But I wanted them to know. Because, the problem with this office is we have certain people that work here. The second you say something, they take your word at fucking face value, and they go throw the popcorn out.
There's
and then 2
nothing-
days later, you go, "Where's the fucking popcorn?" And then said person goes, "You told me it was stale. I'm going to throw it out."
There's nothing
you gotta read between the lines.
worse than the people who fucking listen to you here. You know what I mean?
What do we pay people for here?
It's that because let's be honest. Let's call it as it is right now. Do I want an In-N-Out burger right now? No, I'm pretty full, but I'm gonna eat that cheeseburger because I don't want Nick or Mike never to bring me another cheeseburger. You know
I'm
what I
glad
mean?
he brought you one and not me because I'm the person that worked through lunch.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, it's weird. Let's see. Scott and
I mean,
Crossfight.
he never said Greg. He pointed and said, "I brought you."
Well, then you said for me, and he goes, "Yeah, Greg." And Mike, now he's going back to fucking In-N-Out to buy you.
no, he was
a
watching something on
cheeseburger.
his phone out there. He wasn't watching.
Ah, that's fair. He doesn't care. Andy, I had a line in here that I wrote when he calls her Peanut. We're going to dial it back a little bit. Andy, will you be my Peanut?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tim, you were going to be my second.
That's the line you wrote.
Yeah. That was it. Anyway, let's see. He goes all the way through. Do want to point out, real talk, the visuals here are fucking awesome. The kaleidoscope,
Yeah.
all the stuff,
Yeah.
the different things. He goes through those little bear things that are like microscopic that can live in space. All that stuff is super cool. Weird that he's like, I'll just jam this blue disc into the regulator, and I'm sure that'll work because physics. And it does.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
And everyone's cool.
Science.
And then we cut over
I
back
think
over.
it's just a last resort. I think at that point, it's just do whatever you can.
Fair enough.
Shove it up your ass.
Boof it. Enlarge from the inside out.
Oh,
Do you know that your asshole is technically outside of your body?
No, I didn't know that.
Think about that.
Okay.
So it's inside of your mouth. It's outside of your body.
How many times have you looked at that anus picture?
Huh. Okay.
So many times. Yeah.
the pubis.
Your mouth's not outside of your
It
body.
is.
though.
The
It's
inside of your mouth goes all the way through, and one little thing all the way to your butthole. All that's on the outside of your body.
Okay, I see what you're driving at.
See what I'm talking
I see
about?
what you're
It's
talking
true.
about.
It's scientifically
I don't
proven.
think that's accurate.
So right now Nick is doing the thing where it's like, if you have a straw, does it have one hole or two holes?
But with a person,
I'm
with their
telling you right
mouth
this.
and
If
their
Kevin
asshole.
Coelho, call Kevin Coelho right now. We'll wait. Call him right now. Kevin's a science guy. He'll back me up on this. Your mouth, all your that track
Andy,
is
hit the
technically
song.
on the outside of your body.
Okay, at the science with Kev.
If we turned you inside out, what would be your skin?
Okay. Science, 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 science.
Hello.
Hey, Kevin,
I
it's
got it, I
Greg.
got
You're
it.
on the Ant-Man and Rewatch. How are you?
Oh, what's up?
So I didn't want to do this for once, but Nick made me. And this is a real thing.
I need you to back me up, Kevin. Back me up on this.
Would you say your mouth is outside of your body?
Your butthole too.
Your butthole outside of your body too?
Mouth outside.
Let me give me the thing.
Oh, here
Give me
comes
the
Nick.
thing.
He's gonna explain. Put it so people can hear him. Though.
Here, hold on. I gotta put in the thing. Scientifically speaking, your track that goes from your mouth all the way to your butthole is on the outside of your body, right?
I don't think that's how that works.
All right,
no.
you're dead to me.
I'm-
You look it up, everyone. Science.
Look it
everyone
up.
Ask a doctor.
No,
Next time,
I get what you're saying, because it's like technically all of it is like
he's gonna get there.
it's like it's I don't know what's the right way to phrase it,
Encased.
but I get what you're saying, where it's like your stomach is absorbing stuff out of your food and depositing things into your large intestine, you know. So
Mhm.
I get what you're saying. I don't know if that's how it works, though.
All right. Well, I appreciate you.
But,
We're
you know,
gonna agree to
I think-
disagree.
I hear you. I do want to say, I think you're making the argument that essentially that, like, in a 2D world, like if you were to
Right.
like,
Look at
we
a
wouldn't be
2D.
able to stick together, right? We'd be two pieces.
Oh, you mean time? You mean the time cop conundrum?
That's the time, of course. The time,
Same
that's
matter can't
obviously what
occupy
I
same
meant.
space. No.
That's exactly right.
That's you're 100% right on that one. This bit's gone too long, so we're gonna hang up on you now.
Okay.
I think I've gotten dumber in the
Love
last
you.
3 minutes.
You're all gonna see in the comments.
I don't know how
on
we
this
went
video.
from is the mouth outside the body, is the mouth and the ass connected, to it's the time cop conundrum.
I don't know. Kevin said same something.
They
Same
were
space.
ad-libbing
Yeah.
something. What I do want to point out
We're
is this,
smacking it.
all right?
Please do.
I know you like to roll your eyes at this when we have our little sides here, and we like to have a lot of fun over here.
Uh-huh.
I want you to know what this man just proposed and asked. If we were in ancient Greece, he'd be fucking Socrates, all right? We would all sit around.
fucking huge
we'd
in
all
Greece,
sit
bro.
around a fucking fountain, debating
should
this,
be
and be like, "Oh man, Nick is such an outside the box thinker."
Fucking
You know?
short
They'd
king.
be writing
Greatest
about him on
orator of
stone
our
tablets.
time.
We'd be
God
learning about him in
damn.
school. Socrates could have been a podcaster, is what I'm saying.
So huge. All right, we skip back, and Scott and Hank's like, "You gotta tell me everything you know about the quantum zone realm, because now I'm thinking I can go save my wife." And it's like, maybe you can, maybe you can't. We'll see what happens in the next movie. Meanwhile, he goes, "Sorry, buddy, can't help you out." And then he catches Hank and Hope, or Scott and Hope.
It's
Just
fucking
smooching
awesome.
It,
Like,
smooching it.
look, do I believe in them as a couple? Not really. Honestly, like I feel like even in the later movies, it's always just a little forced. But seeing them make out, I'm like, good for you. This was a good comedic beat. I love the whole when this happened, nothing's happening, but something's kind of happening. Love all that stuff.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
for them.
Bobby Cannavale stops being a D-bag to Scott, invites him over for dinner, and then gets him off the hook with one line of exposition that apparently is going to explain away how he broke out of jail and got arrested a bunch of times. Whatever, doesn't matter. He's a third-strike offender. We all fucking know Scott Lang should go to jail for the rest of his life. Wow. But he does not in this. He gets off because he's got friends in the police station. This is police corruption. This is what everyone's always talking
ACAB.
about. This is the problem.
Cops are bastards.
Okay. Hank asks, oh no, we got past that. Cassie is keeping that big ant as a pet, which you think someone would notice.
Yeah,
It's fucking terrifying.
I don't like this call. I get that it's funny, but like there's a couple things, like even the giant train and stuff. Too many questions. I don't like
I got
when
too many questions.
then like having this fucking giant ant hanging out with them, and like it's like no.
It's only a matter of time before that thing bites your arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Dinner is interrupted when Scott gets another call. He's got to go back to work. And then we get another great story from Michael Pena about yada, 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 yada. Turns out Falcon's looking for you. And it's
Love
like,
it.
awesome.
Love it.
And then we get-
Tana, fun little.
Remember, that was a big pop at the time.
Dude.
Now she's actually in movies, but it's like at the time it was like, oh my God. It's stay awesome Gotham. I can't say it all.
Yeah.
The YouTubers in this movie.
And with Anthony Mackie, it's like she gets like a bunch of really cool shots.
Mm-hmm.
So good for her.
We cut over to the mid-credit sequence where Hank introduces Hope to the Wasp suit.
About damn time.
About damn time. And then post-credits, Falcon and Cap, we cut over. They're with Bucky and his arms in the vice. They're trying to deprogram him. And he's like, man, we need some help. We're on our own. And Falcon goes, maybe not. I know a guy.
Ant-Man.
And that's how we got into the airport. Exactly. Let's go. Super cool. And that is the Ant-Man.
That is the Ant-Man, number 1. So yeah, like I said earlier, we ranked this. If you can bring the rankings up again, Barrett, I'd appreciate it. It is at number 28, Ant-Man 1. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, looking at this list here, and the problem I always have is it's me, right? I like the thing I just watched. I'm high off of it. It's exciting. It's fun. I haven't seen it in a while. So I would rank this much higher compared to a lot of the other things that are on this list right now.
So toss it out right now. Where would you personally bump this up?
I mean, I think I enjoy watching this movie more probably than the Multiverse of Madness. I didn't really love that movie. I kind of walked out of there with kind of a blah taste in my mouth. This movie is just a good, fun romp start to finish. It's tight. It makes sense. It's got good acting. Multiverse of Madness is kind of sloppy. And I just didn't have as much fun watching that. So I'd probably put it right underneath. Probably right above Werewolf by Night. I just think this movie is a bigger accomplishment than a lot of those, a lot of the TV shows and a lot of the TV specials. It worked for me, and I'm a big Paul Rudd fan. Unlike you guys, who are big fans.
Greg, what about you?
I'd leave it where it is for the most part. Maybe I'd like to refrain from talking about Ant-Man and Wasp because that's another one I haven't watched in a while and don't remember well. Maybe I'd bump it up above Captain Marvel, but honestly, I don't even feel the need to. Like, I feel like this is like that echelon of Marvel properties where it's like Marvel's awesome, MCU is great. Where it's just you get down here, it's like I don't know if I really need to go watch this again. I enjoyed it, I had fun with it, but I'm not hankering to get back to it.
Hank,
I'm not Hank Pimming it to get back to it. Where it's
Above
like, yeah,
Hawkeye.
like if I had more time, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. If I had more time on my hands, I'd be open. Oh yeah, a rewatch of Falcon and Bucky, sure. Miss Marvel, sure. Hawkeye, yeah. Multiverse of Madness, I'm with Nick on. It was like I don't have a lot of strong, loving feelings for it, but all this other stuff, I'm fine with.
Andy, you were saying
Above Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think
is where I
somewhere
would push it.
in that realm, where somewhere between where it is and around Hawkeye, like
I
that's
say right now, if you're an audio listener, it's at 28 on this list we're looking at, and then 23 is Hawkeye.
yeah. So somewhere in there, I think makes sense. This is a movie that like if it was just on TV, I would watch it. I feel like it's really enjoyable. Like any bits of it, like there's like something fun to watch, and it is just really funny. But I'm excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp next week. What's up,
I
Eric?
need y'all to know that Nick just slacked me a
Andy.
correction to his typo of the word tail. He just slacked it right now.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Good job, Nick. Thank you.
Let it not be said that I don't
Set the
correct my
record
mistakes.
straight.
Yeah.
And then
my
yeah,
word.
Captain Marvel. I mean, that's the only movie I've only seen once. Now besides Eternals, I guess. But I am excited to rewatch it leading into the Marvels later this year.
Yeah.
Later this year. Next week, we're going to be doing Ant-Man and the Wasp rewatch. Really excited about that because if I remember correctly, this is going to be the first time we do the plot for that one.
For which one? For
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Sure.
Because that was a theater one. That was, I think, on the earlier days when we didn't even try.
That's the one
to
with
do plot.
Ghost, right? The Ghost.
It is Ghost.
That's cool. Looking forward to it.
But let us know in the comments below what you think about Ant-Man 1, what your hype level is for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. And until next week.
Have a marvelous day.
Thank you.